Peace, friends of refined investing. Today we're going to take a very close and detailed look at two developments that, in my opinion, could play a much bigger role in the coming months than many currently expect. On the one hand, we've just had some brand new inflation data reports from the US, which could further support the crypto market. And on the other hand, Ripple has introduced a new initiative that is supposed to take the XRP ledger into an entirely new and innovative area of development. Because this time it's not just about classic bank transfers or CBDCs, etc., but about artificial intelligence, or more specifically, various AI agents that could, in the future, independently carry out payments in a fully automated way. Of course, that sounds pretty futuristic at first. But if you take a closer look at how quickly AI is currently developing, this could actually become one of the most exciting use cases for blockchain in general. But first, let's take a look at the macro data, and as always, please feel free to give a thumbs up in advance. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and in the background you can see my crypto campus. Check it out anytime. Every morning you can read your analysis for free, check the market, compare prices and so on. MonetenDave.com or cryptoradar24.de, but I'd say let's go. Yesterday, the new PPI data from the US was released. The producer price index, to put it quite simply, just shows how much various prices are actually rising or falling at the wholesale producer level. But why is this important? Well, because companies often end up passing higher production costs on to consumers sooner or later. That's why these figures are often seen as an early indicator for later inflation, for example. And right here, there was actually some quite positive news. The figures came in somewhat lower than most people had expected. Of course, this doesn't automatically mean that interest rate cuts are coming right away, but the inflationary pressure does seem to be easing further at the moment, and that's exactly what the US Federal Reserve is likely to be pleased about. Why does this even matter for cryptocurrency? It's pretty simple. When inflation goes down, the likelihood that the Federal Reserve can loosen its monetary policy increases at the same time. And historically, risk assets like stocks or cryptocurrencies have often benefited from falling interest rates. Because, more liquidity often simply means more capital flowing back into, riskier asset classes. This exact headwind has repeatedly slowed down the crypto market significantly in recent years, and that's why investors are currently watching every new inflation figure extremely closely. But now let's move on to Ripple. Ripple has introduced a new initiative focused on so-called agentic payments, that is, payments that in the future won't necessarily be triggered by humans but by artificial intelligence. And this could become significantly more important in the future than many people believe today. A lot of people currently aren't engaging enough with the topic, which might be why they're not really involved in the whole AI space, or in my opinion, they're still using it incorrectly at the moment. But AI is developing extremely rapidly, especially if you work with it, whether privately, for example, or professionally. You notice it from week to week, from month to month, how it just keeps getting more impressive, faster, smarter, and so on. And yes, more and more systems are able to make independent decisions, complete tasks, or purchase services. But it's precisely at this point that our current financial system reaches its limits. Just imagine the following scenario. An AI independently books computing power, automatically pays for software, purchases data, or pays for digital services. And all of this happens without a human having to click confirm now, or generally having to confirm every single time. And this is exactly where a problem arises, because our current banking system was simply built for humans, not for autonomous machines. And while an AI can currently facilitate various financial payments on behalf of a human or gain authorized access to an existing bank account, what it simply cannot do is have its own bank account as an independent entity and autonomously transfer and exchange value worldwide. And this is exactly the point where blockchain technology comes into play. Because blockchain networks simply enable digital wallets and direct value transfers without needing a traditional bank to act as an intermediary for every single transaction, And this is precisely the area where Ripple apparently sees enormous potential, especially for the XRP ledger, and in my opinion, that's extremely exciting and will become even more significant in the coming years. Ripple specifically wants to provide developers with new tools for this very reason. This includes special APIs, software development kits, and basically just features that allow AI applications to be directly connected to the XRP ledger. And the goal behind this is relatively clear. So when companies use autonomous AI agents in the future, payments should be processed directly via the XRP ledger, and this could create an entirely new area of application. So it's no longer just classic transfers between, for example, a person and a bank, but rather millions of small automated transactions between machines. And that simplifies or modernizes the whole process tremendously. Why could the XRP ledger in particular be interesting for this? I mean, for one thing, of course, because of the speed. Transactions are confirmed within fractions of a second. On top of that, there are also extremely low fees, which remain economical even for the smallest amounts. And that's exactly what could become crucial. Because, I mean, if in the future it's no longer about a few large transfers, but rather millions of small payments between AI agents, then the infrastructure has to be designed precisely for such volumes. And this is exactly where the XRP ledger has been one of the strongest networks for years. What's also interesting, in my opinion, is that Ripple isn't just talking about future visions here, right? Together with a partner, over 1.4 million so-called agentic payments have already been carried out on the XRP ledger. Of course, we're still relatively at the beginning here. That doesn't mean there's already worldwide usage, etc. Right now, it's like, yeah, the tracks are just being laid for it. But it clearly demonstrates that this topic is no longer merely a speculative theory or something entirely unconfirmed. So we can see that it's being worked on. It's just now starting to roll out, the whole thing. And I mean, Ripple is already developing concrete solutions and is trying to position itself as early as possible in this market in particular. And that's exactly what could really pay off in the long run. And yeah, in my opinion, that's also something, especially now, regardless of the fact that we're in a bear market, it's just something that, well, you won't see results from in just a few months or anything like that. It's simply a long process. But once everything is in place, you'll have market dominance, and if you're the market leader, you simply have huge advantages, and in my opinion, that will eventually be reflected in the price as well. But yeah, you just have to look at it soberly and realistically. If we take a step back, I mean, you can actually pretty quickly recognize another interesting development. In the beginning, cryptocurrencies were mainly about being able to transfer value digitally and without banks. Then came stablecoins, for example, or DeFi followed, and after that, the whole tokenization of assets, etc. And now artificial intelligence could be brought to the next stage of development. Because, I mean, AI systems simply need a payment system that works around the clock, is available 24/7 without borders, is fast, and above all, runs completely automatically. And it's precisely for such use cases that blockchain networks were developed at the end of the day. But let's try to connect both topics with each other. I mean, on the one hand, inflationary pressure is decreasing. As a result, the chances of a future interest rate cut simply increase. More liquidity could flow back into the crypto market as a result, and at the same time, more and more real-world use cases are emerging. Stablecoins are growing, tokenization is advancing rapidly, especially in the last few months. Institutions are increasingly getting involved, and Ripple is simply trying to additionally occupy the field of AI payments. And if several of these developments were to gain momentum at the same time, that would of course be a much stronger signal than just a single piece of positive news. But I mean, well, whether AI payments will really catch on to that extent in the end, of course, no one can say with 100% certainty today. But what is certain is that Ripple is already positioning the XRP ledger for this future market, which in my opinion is incredibly vast and currently still completely underestimated. And that's exactly what, in my opinion, makes this development so exciting. Because if artificial intelligence is actually able to take on more and more tasks independently in the coming years, then sooner or later it will simply need a way to transfer value quickly and automatically. And it's precisely for this potential use case that Ripple is currently building the appropriate infrastructure. Combined with the positive macro data, the prospect of perhaps a somewhat looser monetary policy, and the increasing institutional developments, this could definitely be super, super interesting in the long term, or just a really exciting combination for the crypto market, for XRP, and for Ripple. But of course, a lot of this is still just speculation about the future. You don't know exactly what the whole thing will look like in the future. Yeah, feel free to write in the comments what you think about it. Do you say AI is super exciting, it's evolving fast, and we'll see huge progress in the next few years? Or do you find it uninteresting and say, well, maybe it won't be that big? In my opinion, a lot of people underestimate it. I also see it with acquaintances and so on, how they work with AI. In my opinion, unfortunately, they're very, very naive and, yeah, not really skilled, not into the topic. So yes, I also have one or two IT colleagues, and yeah, by now I've built a lot of things myself with AI, and I know what's possible these days. And even then, I'm probably only at, I don't know, 1 or 2% of what's actually possible. And that's already 10,000 times more than what the average person does with AI, you know? So in my opinion, this is going to be really, really intense, and we're definitely on the right track. I think it's pretty amazing that Ripple is really pushing hard and positioning itself specifically in that sector. But let's see what the future brings. It's a very, very exciting topic, and I'll definitely keep you updated on it. But that's it for today's video. I wish you a great weekend in advance, and yes, we'll definitely hear from each other again on Monday. With that in mind, hang in there and see you soon. Peace, peace.